Mr. President, I know you are well informed of the current situation in Cuba, so I will spare you those details. I also know you are a good man, and I know you know me as I have welcomed you on my radio program when you needed to speak to my audience to promote your candidacy. That same audience you wish to reach during your campaign has been calling my radio program non-stop, demanding that we do more, that more be done to help the people of Cuba, who at last are speaking out against the regime in unison and literally dying for it. We are receiving constant messages and gut-wrenching videos of children being forcibly abducted from their homes, being beaten and maimed if they refuse to go and support the regime against their own family members. And the world simply watches. Please understand, as a proud Cuban American, their pain is my own, and hearing their desperate pleas and receiving countless videos from influencers, artists, and common citizens reporting from the front lines and witnessing the full strength of an armed military state silencing their unarmed citizens all over the island is simply too much to bear. But still, I do it for the 11 million Cubans on the island and abroad who have spent the last 62 years watching loved ones die by firing squads without a trial, or desperately taking to the Florida Straits on rafts because it's a gamble that yields better results than waiting to die on the island, cut off from the world, enslaved and trafficked to tourists or other countries that are willing to pay the Cuban government for their excellent medical services, for example. I know your Cuban American senators and representatives have informed you well, so forgive me if I get long-winded. But the reason the Cubans are so long-winded is because the list of brutal injustices is that long. For the Cuban American community that has proudly served in our military and defended our freedom and democratic ideals abroad, or joined the fight for justice in Haiti, Venezuela, Colombia, Nicaragua, or anywhere, people are suffering at the hands of totalitarian governments. The inability to support a battle only 90 miles from our shores, and where our family is being brutally silenced, is simply too painful. But this goes beyond a political crisis. This is plainly a humanitarian crisis, and we look to all for help. I thank you for your vocal stance on not allowing remittances, as they would only help the dictatorship, and agree with the consideration of intervention via internet access, which is also so important at this time, as they are being cut off in order to control the dissemination of information and proof that the violent repression is taking place. There's also no point in providing COVID-19 vaccines, as the government would only distribute to those paying customers, once again at the expense of its people. I'm not a politician nor an expert on international relations, simply a communicator with a beating heart that is asking we not remain silent on Cuba now. To do so would be a crime against humanity itself, much like the atrocities committed against our Jewish brothers and sisters. If we remain silent, then we are complicit in another genocide, this time in our own hemisphere. You have seen the marches across different cities of the United States and now in front of the White House. They are the desperate pleas of people divided for too long by this regime, forced to immigrate all over the world in order to help their families know freedom one day. That day has never been more imminent than right now, and we deserve a unified international response against this brutal dictatorship. I respectfully request that you meet with exiled Cuban leaders in order to share their messages and amplify their voices to the international community. Mr. President, let's work together towards achieving definitive change for Cuba. Personally, I can gladly help organize this group of community leaders and influencers. Mr. President, Cubans are calling out to the world for help, for change, for libertad. How can we not respond? What do I tell my audience now? Thank you sincerely for your time and consideration.